me about family values because throughout our lifetime we'll always have things that come and go, but family you can't change, and it's something that's always going to be there and it's constant.
My family is very important to me. My parents are my best friends, and so just making sure my family and my friends are taken care of.
The value of relationships with other people.
My family, first of all, they're always going to be there to depend on. They're never going to, leave you high and dry. And I love my family. We're very close. I tell them, if they need help with anything or if I need help with anything, they help. My friends, I hold very dear to me. They're like my second family. We're very close.
I'd say my family. I'd like to keep, the most important thing is making sure that the people I care about are cared for.
I guess family, friends, I don't know, I guess coming from a Catholic school, belief in God and stuff like that.
I guess I value my family and friendships and stuff and the truth.
Honesty, I guess, above everything. Always being honest with everyone and being true to yourself and other people and your friends.
Honesty and politics, just being honest and doing what's right, moral decisions.
A big value is education and making it through high school and college and stuff like that. I know that's success and determination. And
I'm very independent, and I think that all people should have a chance to be independent, and I think that people should be able to do what they want, just stuff like that, like self-expression, stuff like that.
Follow, laws and everything, and just be a good citizen. Try to help out people.
As long as you're not, being nice to people and not being a jerk, I think you're doing all right.
I guess I base everything on, the Bible, and I pray a lot, and it's pretty much, my morals are pretty much the Bible, stuff like that, commandments,
I really value religion. I'm a Christian, and it's just a way of living, and that when you don't have it in your life, it's so empty, but when you do believe in something, when it's so real, then it just becomes a part of you.
Values are taught from the earliest age by our families.
Parents teach us by what they say and what they do about the values that our family and culture consider important.
Teachers, coaches, and other adults share our values as we interact with them every day.
We learn about what to value from stories, particularly from fables and tales that have a moral to teach.
We learn from reflecting on our experiences.
As we grow older, society influences these values by defining accepted behaviors and norms, and by laws.
What are your values, and how do they determine the way you choose to act? That's what we'll be talking about today. Hi everyone, I'm Jack.
And I'm Cora.
And this is Real Faith TV. Many of the teens we met on the street said they value family and friends.
We'll find out what shaped their values.
We'll talk with our studio guests as well. But first, let's meet our spotlight guest, Alyssa, and find out what she values most in her life.
I believe the values and beliefs that are most important to me would probably be forgiveness, honesty, maybe respect for others. These beliefs and values shape what I say and do, basically my everyday life. In one of the main ones that's very important to me, it would definitely be honesty. And I feel that being honest with people just saves you the trouble of making up lies and remembering what you told people when you lied to them. Forgiveness is a value that I feel is extremely important. I know that at one instance somebody hurt me and I forgave them, and then I know that I hurt them, not to get revenge or anything, I just know that I hurt them, but then they forgave me, and it feels good to be forgiven. Respect for all people is definitely something that I try to live out and try to put into my actions every day. I think when parents influence how I think greatly, they always included people who might have been outcasts. I know that we worked oftentimes here at the church Wednesday nights during the summer to feed the homeless and watch over them and take shifts up and down, and we go to soup kitchens and on Easter, and it's just that's who my parents are, and they influence how I think so greatly. I definitely think that in order to become your own person, in order to have your own identity, you need your own beliefs and values. You need to have something that you base, a foundation that you base what you believe in on, whether it be your faith things your parents told you, things friends told you. You need to have some basis of your beliefs.
I definitely have a lot of the same values that Alyssa has, you know, respect for others, honesty, forgiveness. The only other one I would have to add would be friendship. I value friendship a lot. Let's meet our studio guests and find out what they value most.
With us today are Katie, Ross, Maggie, Caitlin, Matt, and Betsy.
So, what do you guys value most?
I value all the things that were mentioned before, my friends, my family, but also health. Because without health, I think you really, you don't have anything. If your health is deteriorating, then your way of life is deteriorating as well. So I think health is definitely a big value of mine.
I value my family and my friends and also my faith because it's what I believe in and it's also what I base my life on.
Yeah, I probably value honesty the most because a while back I wasn't so honest and it got me into a lot of trouble with like my parents and my teachers, and now honesty is probably what I value the most.
I know in my friends and family I especially value like loyalty and how they treat me and sincerity. So yeah.
It's not like I don't value my family or friends, but we've already said that. So I'm gonna say materialistic things like I don't know, toys, video games, Ninja Turtles.
Right. I'd have to say one of the things I value other than family and friends is respect in terms of discretion. Nowadays people are open, which is great and all, but sometimes not everybody cares what you're saying if it's going to be, outright offensive. And so I respect.
I know that my mom has influenced me most when it comes to my values. Let's see who influenced the teens we met on the street when it came to what they cherish most.
A lot of morals you have are from your family, from your parents.
Yeah. Everything they've taught us through our whole life is how we grew up to be today, so.
Experiences most of all, and just kind of self-learning, and my folks, my parents, most important there. Yep.
Examples through family, like friendship. It's just stuff you got to experience. You can't really be taught out of it from a book.
I think it was from family. Came from a family where we sat down and ate dinner together. So I mean, their family values, strong early teachings of right and wrong.
Definitely my father was a big part of how I acquired my beliefs. He's very strong in do what you want others to treat you kind of thing.
It's family and school.
I think a lot of it's from like our families, and I know I could speak for all of us that like we come from like good families, and they like taught us like respect.
My friends are always trying to keep me in line. Sometimes I have a crazy streak and they keep me in line and tell me, good things. And if I have problems or worries about my faith, or if I start to question things, they help keep me on track. Especially my family, they have a strong faith in the church, and they help, bring me back to what I believe in.
So I don't do what I believe. Like, I find myself doing the wrong thing most of the time. When I was younger and stuff, like when my father was alive, he always be like, teach me like the right thing to do and stuff. My mother, she'd always pressure me to do the right thing and stuff. And like I was raised with like a good family and everything. I choose my own path,
I went to CCD at my church for pretty much like my whole life. And so I learned a lot from there, and then plus just like living every day and seeing what other people believe in.
Mine's basically from my family. My grandmother and my mother are Eucharistic ministers. I was an altar server all through grade school, and basically it was just my family, and being that my godfather's a priest, he pretty much nailed it into my head.
Well, when it comes to my values, I have to say the people who influence me the most are like the people on the street said, family, friends, just normal stuff. I guess everybody thinks that way.
Who or what have been like the greatest influences in your life when it comes to your values?
Well, pretty much my parents, because they sort of whipped me into shape. Like, you have to be at the dinner table at this time. If you're not, we're going to start without you. Stuff like that. And, it's like, don't play Nintendo after 8 o'clock or something like that.
Yeah, and they've also taught us to be responsible, and they've taught us our manners and mostly everything we know.
I'd have to agree. I don't think anyone's influenced my life more than my parents. I spend the most time with my parents. So I think that they've definitely influenced me in a huge way. And I liked what one kid said about everybody being at the dinner table. I've noticed that, you know, even with my friends, they don't eat dinner with their family like, you know, all that often, and it's like, it's a thing in my house where, you know, we eat dinner with the family every night. It's not like a once in a while type of thing, and I think that's important. You know, you talk about what happened in the day, and I think that's a value that I want to carry on, you know, with my family and my children and have everybody at my dinner table.
I think it's your parents are big influences, but I think it's your friends too, you know, like the people you hang out with influence like who you are, you know. Like if they have good values, then you probably will too.
Throughout my life, I've lived in a few very different communities. Once I lived in a very upscale, ritzy community, and later I moved to a rather poor section that had a lot of slum area. And one of the things I did is I observed, and I saw people making the best of their slum conditions, and I saw people totally disrespecting all the prosperity their parents had provided them with. And from that, I like to hope that I was able to find out what was a good value system, what kind of value systems worked, and able to tailor my own value systems to be a better understanding, more efficient person.
Have you ever had a difficult time sticking to your values? You know, like a time when you did something that went totally against what you believe?
Alyssa admits that there have been times she acted against what she believed.
Let's go back to her interview now.
I know that there was one point where telling the truth was really hard, and I thought of the consequences of telling the truth, and I thought of the consequences of not telling the truth, and weighed down, it was much easier not to tell the truth, and I thought about it for a long time, but honesty is one of the values that's really important to me, and I realized that if I didn't tell the truth, then that would be turning away from my values. Even though it was hard and the consequences were difficult and to deal with, and the consequences weren't in my favor, I had to tell the truth because that's something, honesty is something that's important to me. Even though those consequences were difficult, I believe it made me a better person. People trusted me more after that. They knew that telling the truth was something that was difficult for me at that time, and it would have been much easier for me to just lie. There was actually a time when I was in school, there was one child in particular who was being put down for something they looked like or something they believed in. I'm not even quite sure, but for some reason, I stood up for them even though there was a group of my friends behind me, and standing up for them definitely wasn't the coolest thing in the world because that was going against something they were doing, and God forbid you went against them. But I stood up for him and was cast aside after that. Not permanently, but for the rest of the night, definitely cast aside. And afterwards, I remember the kid came up to me and said thank you. It was just a simple thank you. And by then I had forgotten what I even did. I didn't realize that I could do that, but I did. And he was grateful for me at the end of the night, and I didn't think I did that much. I was put aside for one night, and then the next morning they forgot about it, and we were out again the next day. So it's not that I was cast aside forever, but this person probably remembered it for a long time.
Well, Alyssa's story about lying is pretty similar to a couple of my own, and I think lots of people have the same stories. There comes time when you either you tell the truth or you don't tell the truth, and a lot of times lying gets you into deeper trouble than telling the truth because you get into a chain of lies.
And when Alyssa realized that lying would make her a hypocrite, she decided to tell the truth.
A hypocrite is someone who pretends to be someone he is not.
Hypocrisy is a form of lying.
Can you think of any times when you guys acted against your values and found yourself being a hypocrite?
No.
I don't know about anyone else, but I think that one time when I definitely think I was a hypocrite is when I remember vividly, telling my cousin, who was probably 5 years old at the time, that lying's bad and you shouldn't do it. And then we were out playing and I broke something. I don't even remember what it was, but then in my head as I was like walking into the house, I was like thinking of like how I was gonna get out of it, like if I could lie my way out of it or something. And then I just realized I was like, you know what? I just told my cousin not to lie. You know.
Yeah.
What kind of an example am I setting if he saw me break it and I go inside and say it wasn't me? So I think that, you know, made me realize what I was about to do, and I stopped myself.
I think that a lot of people I think that hypocrisy is something that it's sinful, but it's still inside of us, and a lot of people do it without realizing, because it's hard to know yourself well enough to really catch yourself every time that you do something that you really don't like or you say you don't like. But it's something that's hard to overcome, but that we need to fight against.
I can't think of a specific time, but like every time I say I hate something about somebody else, after I go back and I think about it, it's something that I look inside myself and I see myself doing it all the time, but it just gets me so upset when somebody else does it. But I do it all the time too, and I'm like, how can I be so upset with that other person when it's me I'm really upset with? And I feel so bad for yelling at the other person and making them feel bad for doing it when it's really me that I'm upset with.
By observing what qualities you don't like in other people, I think you can really learn like what values are good for yourself and what values you want to follow and stuff like that.
I think sometimes there's lots of little things that you'll find yourself getting upset with. Like, I hate to be disrupted when I'm working, and sometimes when we're around the studio, I'm like, oh goodness, we're making trouble for them, and sometimes I'm just like, I don't care, and like I realize, okay, I hate it when like what I'm doing isn't going smoothly, and so I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. So,
I think a very common form of hypocrisy is expecting other people to, you know, be honest and come clean when you don't, like in Ross's story. Alyssa also told a story about suffering the consequences of disapproval when she was true to her values and helped someone out.
Have you ever found yourself in this kind of a situation?
Yeah, well, my mom is like a living lie detector, and one time me and my buddies that lived down the block are running up the street, and my mom's pulling into the driveway and she sees us. And then she's like, what are you guys doing? You guys ringing the neighbors' doorbells and running away? And we're like, no. So she brings me inside and sits me down, and she's like, Matt, it's not right to lie. And I was like, how did you know that I wasn't lying? And she's like, first of all, she's like telling me all these reasons how she caught me lying.
I remember somebody, I think it was one of my friends, was telling me, I always know when you're lying because your nostrils flare. And so like after that I was like, okay, maybe I just shouldn't lie. People can tell.
Well, getting back to a story where my values helped somebody, I was at this graduation party, and there were these two kids who weren't from our school there, and everyone was like mad that they were there, and they were making fun of them and everything. So I went over to talk with them because nobody else was hanging out with them, and then I got made fun of for the rest of the night, but it all blew over eventually. But they felt a lot better that I went to talk with them.
With values also, and I have a disabled friend who I found it sometimes it was like hard to like, cause like she would be slower and it would be hard to like keep the pace with her, and sometimes I would have to stay back with her and everything, but like nobody like made fun of me for it, but it was just, I found that hard at times, but you still do it cause you know it's right.
That's kind of like my story. My sister's disabled, and you know, all my friends that I've ever had, they've all been really understanding and so you know, loving to her. It's, you know, fun to watch. Like, they'll come over to my house and my sister will answer the door, and, you know, they'll have a 5 minutes conversation with her before they even, like, ask if I'm home or something. Or, like, when they call on the phone and she picks up, you know, they talk with her, and it's kind of like, right, who's the phone for? And she's like, hold on, I'm talking on it. And then it turns out, like, it's one of my friends, and I was just like, all right. But, I mean, it's cool that, you know, they can just include her in, you know, some of the stuff we do because, you know, she's a huge part of my life, and you know, it really does mean a lot to me.
Mm-hmm. As disciples of Jesus, we are called to take our values from the teachings of Jesus.
Jesus taught us that everything God created has value and is good.
People are the most valuable of everything that God created.
God is the measure we use to determine value because God is the highest good.
Christian values include all of those qualities and actions that imitate the characteristics of God.
These include love, forgiveness, kindness,
generosity, patience, trustworthiness, and faithfulness.
Next, Alyssa gives us some advice on how to live a life that is consistent with your values and how her Catholic faith has helped her.
But it's okay to stand up for what you believe in. It's okay to think whatever you want to think. And yes, throughout your life, your environments will change. There will be people who definitely disagree with you, but you have to hold strong. You have to remain faithful to what you believe in. And there are people who don't have a mutual respect for others and think that if you have something that's different, that's a different belief from them, you're automatically ostracized. And but I think that places such as like my church youth group, I'm able to express my values and beliefs, and my faith definitely helps reinforce and strengthen my values. We're told that we should love others, respect others, and I believe that in knowing that, in living that out, I've become a better person. Sometimes it is hard. It's hard to explain, you know, why you have a value or belief, and then your reason is because it's the Christian way. That's hard sometimes. I mean, with a world who is kind of turning away and not so much looking to Christian values, that's hard to express. But you have to have that courage. You have to have that strength to say, no, this is what I believe, and take it or leave it. Take me or leave me.
I agree with Alyssa. It isn't always easy to stay true to your Christian values in today's world.
Yeah, have any of you found it difficult to always stick to actions that are consistent with your Christian values?
I think being a teenager is one of the hardest phases of life to stick with your values, especially if they're Christian values, because there's all sorts of normals held by your peers about like promiscuity and how you treat other people and how you go about assisting others. It's like, no, everybody fights for themselves now, and you have absolutely no care for other people, and that's not right.
I know in our society they teach us like that money's really important and that like things are really important to me, especially like I like clothes and makeup and stuff. But like I have to remember that like what's more important is your friends and your family and having, like that sort of stuff.
I think it's interesting. They have home ec classes, but they don't have any of those classes about manners. There you go.
There you go.
They used to have those back in the day.
I think the hardest thing for me is definitely forgiveness. If somebody wrongs me, it's very hard to just turn the other cheek and forgive them. I'm more of the revenge type of person, but I know that's not right. It's not the Christian thing to do. I'm trying to change that, but as of right now, it seems easier to get revenge than to give forgiveness.
One hard thing for me is also forgiveness, because like even if I know they didn't mean it, I would rather just never talk to them again than put it back straight and make it so that we could be friends, because the people I have grudges against, we had such a good relationship and I could trust them, and then something happened where either I did something mean to them or they did something bad to me, and I would either think they wouldn't forgive me because if they did that to me I wouldn't forgive them, and I have so many grudges and I've lost so many friends through not being able to forgive them. I've been better now, but it was very hard.
So are there any aspects of your faith that help you hold strong to the values that you have?
Oh yeah, I mean, like when I said forgiveness is, Jesus turned the other cheek, and a lot of the times when I'm thinking about, getting my revenge or, what I should do, it's, I think about Jesus turning the other cheek, and that kind of, calms me down a little bit, because when it first happened, you're in the heat of the moment, your adrenaline's pumping, you're so mad, and that kind of calms me down. It brings me down to the next level, and I'm able to think clearer, and cooler heads prevail most of the time.
Also, you want to think like how you would want to have been treated, even if you had made the mistake, you would have wanted to be forgiven as well.
Another aspect of our faith that helps me is reading the Bible and the scripture. Like Ross said before, Jesus says to turn the other cheek. The Bible, it just calms you down to know that these other people did all this wonderful stuff in the name of Jesus, and it just helps you to put in perspective what you want from your life and what you want to portray to other people.
Well, prayer definitely helps. strengthen my values with my friends and my family.
I'm in a youth group, and hanging out with those people helps me keep my values, because it's nice to hang out with people who believe the same things as you, because they help you stick to the things that you believe in.
Yeah, it makes it easier.
Yeah, I get that same reinforcement by going to Mass like every Sunday, especially because it teaches me like the values every weekend, and I'm with the people who believe in the same thing that I do.
Yeah, I think that it's really important to surround yourself with people that you can identify with in order to grow in your religion. The simple truth is that we cannot be happy choosing to behave in ways that are inconsistent with our values.
It says in the book of Proverbs, "Better a poor man who walks in his integrity than he who is crooked in his ways and rich."
It's hard to resist making choices that get you approval or acceptance.
It's very tempting to satisfy selfish desires or pursue winning at all costs.
But these things bring temporary pleasure at most.
Enduring happiness comes when what you value and how you act are integrated into your whole person.
What are your values, and do you find it difficult at times to stay true to them? We want to know.
Contact us through our website.
The address is www.realfaithtv.com.
Or you can call us at 609-406-7402.
And here's one last thought. Centuries ago, the prophet Micah wrote, "He has told you, O mortal, what is good,
And what does the Lord require of you but to do justice,
and to love kindness,
and to walk humbly with your God?"
These are simple principles that we use to make choices that are consistent with our Christian values.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time on Real Faith TV.
God bless.